Welcome to Manufacturing Talks with Jim Vinoski. Industry has a million cool stories, and Jim talks to the movers and shakers who are making them happen. Let's dive in.
And welcome back once again. This is Jim Vinoski with Manufacturing Talks. We are live from Detroit, from the American Gear Manufacturers Association Motion and Power Technology Expo. Wonderful day so far, and I'm here joined by Michael Cinquemani. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm great. Thanks.
How's the show going so far for you?
It's been great so far. I mean, it's really cool to have everybody together where you can see so much technology from both suppliers, but also manufacturers, and really just dig into. There's a lot that gets done here.
I bet. Yeah.
So I want to thank you. This is really cool. This is really cool, and it's really cool that you're here. We really appreciate it.
I'm glad to be here. Yeah, this is something new for me too, and it's just really neat to be here in this. So it's, people can't see the glass you see behind us. It's all the way around, and we're looking out on the floor show and all the people doing their things out there. So really amazing stuff.
Lots of commerce.
Yeah. Well, before we dive into, the business end of things, why don't you just tell us about yourself, how you got doing what you're doing?
Well, thanks. Yeah, I'm a mechanical engineering degree from Case Western. I'll put that plug in
nice.
Cleveland, Ohio.
Yep.
And when I graduated, I went into power transmission. So 37 years ago, I took a job thinking, maybe I'll do this for a little while. And here I am all these years later. I think I told you 37 years of working with my friends in this industry, and it's been really, really fun.
Now you're with Master Power Transmission Inc. Did you start with those guys?
No, so I started with a larger industrial company in power transmission. I spent about 24 years there in varying responsibilities, ultimately running a business and then running the international for the company outside of the United States as well, operations and sales. And I put a business for sale in 2010.
Yep.
And we weren't having a lot of success selling it at the time. And I had a long talk with my wife at the beach, and I said, hey, honey, how would you like to bet the farm? And and she said, sure. And so I kind of turned my hat the other way and said, hey, look, if you guys are comfortable, I'd like to make a bid to go run by this business. So in 2010, I bought what is now Master Power Transmission. And we started out trying to build a really cool company. And we're succeeding at it. It's been a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Yeah. So I didn't mention your CEO. So you actually started out in the top job and then built the company up from buying it. That's really cool. Right.
We started as one thing, sort of what I bought at the time. And today we're something, just totally different. And that's really been the fun part of the journey. We've built a really cool culture. And it's, we had to learn. Brian Robertson, who's my president, and we really had to learn how to be small company guys after being big company guys for so long.
Sure.
And that has been a really, really fun journey.
Well, so you had to learn that while you were also taking the company from one business to another. So tell us a little bit about that progression.
Yeah, so we were learning as we went. You got to make payroll. That's kind of an interesting. Kind of an interesting imperative right at the very beginning. But we were learning as we went, and what we worked on doing was sort of revamping our product offering, and building out our sales capability and that sort of stuff. A lot of work, as I mentioned, on culture, and we have a really, really special culture. Described not by what we wish we were, but described by what our people say we are. We went through a process where we defined that, and that allows you to do a lot. It really all starts with people. And if people are committed to the organization and want the organization to succeed and see that two-way commitment, it really can do a lot for you. So since then, we've been building out capabilities, machinery, things like that. Customer service, we're very, very focused as an organization on customer service. We think that people want things fast. They want information fast. They want product fast. They want things to be accurate. They want, when they make a telephone call, they want somebody to answer. Or when they send a message, they want somebody to answer that message quickly, and that for them to be useful, and helpful to them as a customer.
Yep.
And we really strive. Those are blocking and tackling kinds of things, but we really started out saying we're going to be very good at these things, and we set a standard for ourselves of 75% of our product shipped in 48 hours or less. And that's kind of where we are today. We don't do anything that we can't do in 48 hours or less, 75% of the time. And it's really built us a pretty good customer following.
Nice. Yeah. Well, and the things you mentioned should be basic blocking and tackling, but unfortunately, more and more, they're not even really prime considerations.
Yeah.
So I applaud you guys for your approach.
Yeah. We really believe it's fundamental. We really believe that value is value, and people kind of get wrapped up in sort of all kinds of, I don't know what the right word is, but all kinds of schemes to improve this or to improve that,
right.
and ultimately improve the bottom line without improving what they're doing from a customer service standpoint. And we just refuse to do that. And in fact, we have an absolute rule in our organization that you will not invest in anything in the organization unless it makes service better for customers. So we're never going to do something for purely a financial reason. Usually they go hand in hand. Usually they're the same thing.
Yep.
But we're very, very careful, and we're very deliberate about that. So our investments are not just in machinery, but in systems, and our systems enabling us to give real-time communications to customers about here's where your order is, and here's when you should expect it. It's been released to assembly. You'll have it in the next 48 hours.
So specifically, what is it that Master Power does?
We make industrial gearboxes, so primarily inline helical gearboxes. We make some worm gearboxes as well. We make a product that's a worm helical combination gearbox, which is interesting. Actually, technically kind of interesting because it keeps the worm at a low ratio and on the high-speed side of the gearbox, which makes the worm more efficient. And then adds a second stage of helical, which is always 98.5% efficient. So it creates a in-betweener kind of product, kind of a niche product that has a higher efficiency than a big ratio worm gear. And anyway, that's my world of geekdom. But we make
for sure. Well, I'm a mechanical engineer by degree myself, so we could do that all day. I'm not sure these guys out there are going to be so into it.
Yeah, you're right about that.
What are the kind of mix of applications that your customers?
We're a lot of application-wise. We're a lot of conveyors. Probably maybe 65% of our business is conveyors. Different type of conveyors, bulk material handling, unit conveying. Baggage handling conveyors, things like that. Also, mixers, blenders, high torque kind of pumps, rotary lobe type pumps, or progressive cavity pumps, or things like that. We tend to live in the world where there's a demand for rugged, really rugged industrial products.
Yeah, stuff that can take a beating and keep going for years.
Exactly.
Excellent. So I'm going to have to use this phrase I used with Matt first thing in the morning. We're going to shift gears here for a second. He assured me that was not original.
It's good. I like it.
Yeah. So in addition to being the CEO at Master Power Transmission, you're also the chairman of the board for the AGMA.
Yes, I am. Yeah.
So tell us about that and what you're doing in that role and how the two fit together.
Well, thank you. The industry's changing, in some ways, and so we're working very hard to adapt to that change. Just look at this. Just look at where we are today.
Yep.
I mean, we've got booths with manufacturers. We've got booths with suppliers. We've got a podcast studio in the middle of the floor. We've got Randy over here doing technical talks, curated tours. The fall technical meeting is going on upstairs.
Nice.
All that stuff going on together is kind of indicative of the way that AGMA is evolving to be more than just standards, but more about adapting to the way the world is today and informing our members about things like emerging technologies and how do you prepare for the future? How do you change along with the world? And so that's a lot of this content. I wrote it, curated tours are going on, right?
Yeah, that's cool.
So it's really, really good stuff.
Yep. So then for you personally, obviously you've got your work side and then the chairman of the board of AGMA side, but for you personally, what are the highlights that you're looking at, kind of being the things you think are going to be the highlights for this show this week for you?
Yeah. Well, we have an EV town hall on Thursday morning, which I'll be a part of, and I'm pretty excited about that. I started in the electric vehicle technology, chairing the electrical vehicle technologies committee in the emerging technologies effort a number of years ago. And it's just really cool for me to see how far it's come. I mean, we were talking about, all right, electrical technology is coming. What does it mean to us as gear manufacturers? What are the technical requirements? What are the, how are the volumes going to, how many gears are there on an electric car versus on a gas engine? And thanks to Mary Ellen Duran, we assembled experts from all over the industry, from the machine tool builders, from the manufacturers, from the auto manufacturers. And we started to develop some pretty cool knowledge. Then we took that knowledge and we published a white paper. And that white paper is, anybody in the industry who wants to know where it's going, that's a pretty clear document that tells you where it's going and helps you to understand how this is changing. We're updating the white paper this year, but the EV town hall is going to be really cool because it's kind of the next step. It is the people who are having to deal with these standards, or not these standards, but the new requirements, starting to talk about how do these relate to existing AGMA standards, and how are we going to change to make those gears standardized, if you will. So it's pretty exciting.
Excellent. Let's swing back to the master power transmission. So you guys have seen a lot in your time building the company up to what it is today. What are the things you're focused on for now, and then what are you looking at down the road as being, whether they're opportunities or hurdles that you have coming up?
Yeah. Well, I would say that, like everybody else, and we were talking about it a little bit before. Like everybody else, we've got the people issue, and the thing that we're keying in on right now is making sure that we take the complexity of our business and we do a better job of onboarding people so that we can explain to them, give them the bird's eye view of the business that we've had because of all of our years of experience, so that things don't seem so complicated to them. But we're also working on putting AI into our business processes. So we're working pretty hard. This customer service focus makes us think about these things a lot. And so we're working very hard to take anything that can be automated and automating it. Our systems, our integrated systems, have got very good data, very good capabilities. So we're working really hard to take that data and develop all kinds of software that's crunching it and presenting it to a desktop in a purchasing role, and saying, this stuff's all handled for you. 90% of the job is done, right? Here are the things, here are the exceptions. Here are the things that you need. This is where we need your brain power. Makes the job more interesting, I think, less about doing tasks, but also makes it easier for people to get excited, I think, about doing that job. Makes it more manageable early on. So
taking away drudgery and focusing on people using their brains a little more.
And it's really fertile ground. I mean, I'm not talking about manufacturing really, but I kind of am, I mean, material flow, for example, is so critical. And we've all learned this over the past 2 or 3 years. If you don't have good material flow, you're dead in the water. So these kinds of things are very essential. But we're also, just like everybody else, working on factory automation as well. It's an absolute necessity today. And there's so much opportunity there. And we're working on that pretty intently.
Well, I find it interesting because, everyone knows about the factory automation side. Now, maybe not everyone understands fully what those opportunities are and what the best applications for their businesses are. And that's a piece of what you see going on. But I've talked about this quite a bit, and that is where small and medium-sized manufacturers are kind of just throwing their hands up like, I don't think a robot is right for my operation, or automating what I'm doing isn't really going to work because of the nature of my business. And so many of them are missing that first part you talked about, which is automating the business processes.
Yeah.
And you're right, it's not necessarily manufacturing, but manufacturers also don't need to miss out on that. That could be the bigger bang for the buck, right?
Right. That's right. I think so too. I really do. And, when you look at your head count, you want to think about, where are these indirect jobs? Well, heck, every one of us who's in the office is an indirect job, right? So how can we improve those indirect jobs is a major focus for us, along with the factory automation. They have to go hand in hand. And the data today is getting to be so stinking good. I mean, it's good if you make it good. Having a system doesn't really solve the problem. You really have to spend a lot of time scrubbing data and getting data right. And we're doing all that hard work, and it's really paying dividends for us. So.
Now, as you look at doing those things, are you able to go out and source packaged software suites and that kind of thing? Or are you having to do a lot of that legwork for yourself?
We're doing it ourselves in-house, and we just have some individuals, Ryan, I mentioned earlier, my president, he kind of leads that effort for us. He's got exceptional capabilities in that area. So we'll buy something if we need to buy it. But a lot of times it really just has to do with having the vision of here's the data, here's how I need to use it, and here's how I need to manipulate it, here's how I need to present it to the job. And we're doing a lot of really cool things there on the shop floor as well. I mean, with production scheduling as well. Making a gearbox, as I said earlier, is complex. I call it choreography. There's all these machining centers that are working together to get product to assembly where you're going to assemble that gearbox. And in our case, we make everything. We machine our shafts, we machine our castings, we cut our gears, we heat treat our gears, we grind our gears, and then we assemble our gearboxes. So that process is complicated. And so there's a lot that we're doing with this same AI approach on the shop floor to, again, present data in the same way, or put our data in a way that the system itself can run the shop floor. And then again, just like I mentioned in the earlier example, the supervisors, the production managers are just basically looking at the exceptions. So.
Excellent. Okay, so going back to that origin of that question, which was what are the opportunities and the hurdles as you look down the road? You've told us what it is for your own business. Now, same approach. What is it for the AGMA?
Yeah, great question. Well, I mean, I would say that, first and foremost, it's those emerging technology areas. I mean, definitely these things are changing our industry. Electrical vehicle technology, I mentioned, industrial Internet of Things, 3D printing. I mean, 3D printing, really interesting. And just the materials side of 3D printing is really crazy, and robotics and automation. So those for AGMA, I think, are the key areas that we've defined that the membership needs. This is the way the world is changing, right? In IIoT, in the industrial Internet of Things, we're also working on AI as a component of that effort. So yeah, I mean, this is probably key. The other thing I think that's going on is the world just keeps getting more global. And so, we're looking to be a convener of people on, across the globe, if you will. I mean, we now have gear technology in India. So AGMA is really starting to, expand in that way. And I also think consolidations are a big thing in our industry. There's just a lot of big companies that keep getting bigger. And the big companies and the small companies in an association like this, they need different things. So we're trying to make sure that we're providing both of those sets of things, the things that the small companies need, the things that the big companies need.
Okay. As you think about all this personally, and obviously you've gotten to see how your company has been able to associate with AGMA and the benefits of that. What would you say to people who maybe are on the fence about getting involved in this kind of thing, and what the benefit to different companies would be in jumping in with you guys?
Yeah, wow, great question. There's all that I mentioned, and that goes without saying. But I also think that there's a selfless attitude of the people within the gear industry and really within the power transmission industry, I believe, where people are willing to help each other. I mean, not help each other on things, they compete, right?
Yeah.
But they're willing to help each other get access to technology, understand what's going on. And I can think of dozens of examples just walking this show floor today where I bump into somebody who said, hey, did you know this? You know, a friend who says, hey, did you know this? And sometimes it's something that you didn't know. It gives you something to think about. This association, it's much, much more than social. There's all of the standards work. I mean, if you're going to be in the gear industry, all those standards are extremely important to you. You got to, and you can be a part of shaping those standards. AGMA sits as the chair of the ISO committee in Europe. So there's just a tremendous amount of influence within the industry. But that networking piece and the access to the technologies and the emerging technologies, they're tremendous values for anybody. I wouldn't want to be in the gear industry without being a member of AGMA.
Well said. Okay, now we've really got to go personal. You've got lots going on, but hopefully you're making time for fun for yourself. So what do you do for fun?
Yeah, 5 minutes a day. No, just joking. My son and I started a long time ago rebuilding an antique 1963 Chevy C10 pickup truck.
Sweet.
And he's since graduated from college. He's actually an engineer now with BMW.
Nice.
And we've been working on this thing for 6-7 years together. And we are nearly complete. We have every nut and bolt on that truck from the ground up. We didn't subcontract anything. We may send the seat out, but we tore the motor down. We rebuilt the motor. We replaced components. We put disc brakes on it. We did the whole suspension from the ground up. We did all the body work. We painted it. It has been so fun. Obviously, so much time together, but really fun. And that occupies a good, he's living in the same town with me now, which is really nice. And so that occupies probably 6 or 7 hours a weekend,
With the finish line in sight now, who gets the truck?
Well, first of all, full disclosure, it is not going to be perfect, right? This is not going to be a show quality vehicle, but it's pretty good, and we're very proud of it. It'll be his someday. I mean, that's the whole objective. Everything I have is his anyway. So.
Oh, well, yeah, I understand that. Excellent. Is there anything we haven't covered that we need to talk about before we wrap up?
No, not that I can think of right now.
Okay. Well, Michael Cinquemani.
That is beautiful. You did that so nicely. Cinquemani.
It was a treat having you here. I appreciate you joining us. And
thank you.
Good luck with the continuing leading Master Power and continuing leading AGMA board.
Jim, thank you so much. I really enjoyed it.
Me too. And of course, thanks to our audience. We're almost done now. We're down to one more to go. I've been here all day long. Hopefully my voice lasts through that one. But yeah, thank you, Michael, and all of you. And we'll be back here in about 20 minutes for this final go around from Detroit, from the Huntington Place, the American Gear Manufacturers Association, Motion and Power Technology Expo. We are Manufacturing Talks. We'll be back shortly.
Thanks for tuning in to Manufacturing Talks with Jim Vinosky. Watch for new episodes dropping every Tuesday, and don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe.